Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're talking about something literally all of us deal with, and that is laziness. Seriously, if you've ever felt completely guilty about choosing the couch over the gym or watching just one more video instead of doing your homework, I have some incredible news for you. We're jumping straight into the core concepts from chapters 11 through 14 of James Clear's groundbreaking framework on habits. Specifically, we're unpacking the third law of behavior change. And I promise you, by the end of this explainer, you are going to see how human laziness isn't some terrible character flaw. It is actually your ultimate secret weapon for building great, long-lasting habits. Let's get started. Okay, let's dive right into this, because right off the bat, we absolutely need to shatter a massive myth. If I asked you right now, how long does it take to form a new habit? You'd probably say 21 days, right? Or maybe 30 days? We hear those numbers thrown around all the time. But what if I told you that is entirely the wrong question to be asking? Here's the real deal. On one side, we have time passing, literally just crossing days off a calendar. On the other side, we have frequency, which is the actual rate of your repetitions. And the truth is, there's absolutely nothing magical about the mere passing of time when it comes to habit formation. It genuinely doesn't matter if it's been 21 days or 300 days. What actually matters is the frequency. You could do something twice in a month, or you could do it 200 times. It is the sheer volume of successful attempts that firmly wires a behavior into your brain. Your current habits, from tying your shoes to mindlessly checking your phone, are completely internalized because of hundreds, if not thousands of reps. But of course, how do we get ourselves to actually repeat something enough times for it to stick, especially when we have zero motivation? Well, that brings us to this brilliant concept, the law of least effort. And hey, I want to validate your struggle right now. If you feel lazy, it's because your brain is literally hardwired to conserve energy whenever possible. Energy is precious. Out of all the possible actions we could take in any given moment, human nature dictates that we naturally gravitate toward the option that requires the least amount of work. It's not just a you problem, it's a deeply ingrained evolutionary instinct. And this law operates on a massive global scale. Just think back to the spread of agriculture in early human history. Why did certain crops spread so incredibly fast across Europe and Asia? Well, because expanding your farm to the east or west keeps you in the exact same general climate. The crops still grow. It requires significantly less effort. But trying to expand your farm to the north, that means dealing with a completely different climate, inventing new tools, finding new crops. It's exceptionally high effort. So humanity naturally expanded horizontally, taking the path of least resistance. We are fundamentally wired to do what is easy. So what does this all mean for us today? Consider this massive paradigm shift. In a sense, every habit is just an obstacle to getting what you really want. This completely changes how we view hard work. Because honestly, nobody actually wants the habit itself. You don't naturally crave the burning nungs of a workout or the mental exhaustion of studying for 3 straight hours. What you actually want is the result that the habit delivers. For example, dieting isn't the goal. Getting fit is. Dieting is just the annoying obstacle in the way. Meditation is the obstacle to feeling calm. Journaling is the obstacle to thinking clearly. And the more difficult a habit is, the larger the obstacle, meaning there's way more friction between you and your goal. Now, on days when you feel super motivated, sure, you can easily jump over that obstacle. But on the tough days when you're wiped out from school or a long day at the office, that friction makes the habit feel literally impossible to start. Which leads us to a crucial turning point. If we know we're naturally lazy and we know our habits are really just obstacles in the way of our true goals, how do we leverage our lazy nature? How do we achieve more by doing less? The answer lies entirely in how we design our environment. And this brilliantly illustrates the idea. Imagine you have a garden hose that is totally bent in the middle, but you want more water to come out. You've got 2 options. Option 1, you can crank up the valve, relying on sheer force and massive effort to push water through that kink. That's basically like relying on raw motivation to force yourself through a difficult habit. It's exhausting. The second option? Just unbend the hose. You let the water flow naturally with almost zero effort. Making your habits easy is exactly like removing the bend in the hose. You really don't need more motivation. You just need less friction. In the business world, this concept is famously known as addition by subtraction. Back in the 1970s, Japanese electronics manufacturers absolutely revolutionized their workspaces by looking for every single tiny point of friction in their production process and just eliminating it. They stopped forcing workers to twist and turn to reach their tools. By subtracting all that wasted motion, they became vastly more efficient than American factories, and their revenue skyrocketed. And guess what? We can do the exact same thing with our own lives just by lightening the load our environment places on us. Just think about the products and services that completely run our modern lives. The most addictive, habit-forming products out there are absolute masterclasses in removing friction. Meal delivery services. They exist simply to reduce the friction of going to the grocery store and cooking. Dating apps reduce the terrifying friction of walking up to a stranger. Ride-sharing reduces the friction of standing in the rain flagging down a cab. When you remove the friction, the behavior happens almost automatically. So if we want to build incredible habits like studying every day, working out, or reading more, we have to become the engineers of our own lives. We have to reduce the friction. But practically speaking, how do we actually do that? How do we take a massive, intimidating goal and scale it down into something so incredibly easy that our lazy brains won't reject it? This right here is the most actionable advice in the explainer, whether you're a high schooler swamped with homework or an adult trying to learn a new skill.
Enter the ultimate life hack, the 2-minute rule. This rule states that you must downscale your new habits until they can be done in 2 minutes or less. Remember, a brand new habit should never ever feel like a massive mountain to climb at the starting line. It needs to be as absolutely frictionless as humanly possible.
Let's look at what this looks like in the real world. If your goal is to study for class, well, that feels huge and exhausting. So we scale it down to open my notes. Boom, that takes 5 seconds. Read before bed becomes read 1 single page. Run 3 miles becomes tie my running shoes. Do 30 minutes of yoga becomes just take out my yoga mat. So the crucial point is that by shrinking the requirement down to a tiny 2-minute action, you are completely bypassing your brain's natural resistance to hard work. And here is exactly why this works like magic. Those first 2 minutes act as a gateway habit. The reality is anyone, and I mean anyone, can read just 1 page. Anyone can flip open a notebook. But once you take that tiny, completely frictionless action, momentum takes over. Once you've tied your running shoes, you might as well step outside, right? Once your notes are open on your desk, you might as well read a paragraph. Once you start doing the right thing, it is remarkably easier to just keep going. Now, let's look at the flip side of all this, the inverse of the third law. Make it difficult. If low friction builds good habits, then high friction destroys bad ones. To stop doing something you don't want to do, you literally need to add bends back into the garden hose. You deliberately engineer high friction. Want to drink less? Hide the beer in the very back of the fridge behind the vegetables where you can't easily see it. Want to stop endless doom scrolling while you study? Leave your phone in another room entirely. Or better yet, ask a coworker or friend to physically lock your phone away until lunch, someone who won't cave when you beg for it back. Delete the social media app so you have to jump through the annoying hoop of re-downloading them just to check your feed. By putting annoying little steps between you and the bad habit, you completely break that mindless, automatic loop. Ultimately, the highest boss level of this strategy is automation. Automation makes your good habits inevitable and your bad habits impossible. We call these commitment devices. They are one-time choices you make today that lock in your future behavior. When you invest in a little bit of technology or just rearrange your physical environment one time, you no longer have to rely on your willpower in the heat of the moment. You've already made the lazy choice the right choice. So I'm going to leave you with a quick challenge. Take a look around your room, your desk, or even your phone right now. What is one tiny point of friction you can remove today to make a good habit just a little bit easier? Or what's one point of friction you can add to make a bad habit harder? Seriously, don't fight your laziness, embrace it, design for it, and use it completely to your advantage. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I will catch you in the next one.